All right, everyone. Here I'm going to make a video for you talking about graphs. I understand that a lot of you guys might think that this is very straightforward and very easy, and I think that's wonderful. If this is hard or new for you, then that's also okay. What you're going to be doing in the lab is you're going to be making a graph for different solutions' density versus their concentration. So I've just made up some data here. I said a 10% solution has a density of 0.95. And again, the units on density are grams per milliliter. So we're going to plot density on the y-axis of our graph, and we're going to plot concentration on the x-axis. So here we have our 10%, and we have a density of 0.95. So 0.95 and 10%, I'm going to make a dot right there. 20% is 1.01, so going here between 1 and 1.1, we're going to kind of estimate where those marks would be. 1.01 is just a wee little bit above the 1. I'm going to make a mark. 30% is 1.09, so that's almost up to the 1.1 mark, and 40% is 1.2. So there is our data. Now, the most important thing is when you're making a graph like this is to not connect the dots. We're going to add a trend line to this data. So I'm actually going to go here and use this ruler. And what you want to do when you're drawing a trend line is you're going to line it up so that the amount of data that you have above the trend line kind of matches with the data that you have below the trend line. So what I've got going on right here, if we kind of zoom in on things, this data point and this data point are above that trend line. And then we have those other two data points below the trend line. And so that looks good to me. So we're going to draw that trend line in. Let me get rid of this ruler. And you can see again that this is a wee little bit above, and then these two are just wee little bits below. So you want to sort of aim for the middle. The other thing that's important to note is that I didn't go through the origin. You don't have to. There's like no data point there at the origin. So you don't have to go through, in this case, it would be 0.9 and 0. You just look at the data that you have graphed. Okay, so now we're going to actually use this graph. Let's say that you had another solution and you determined that the density was, 1.05 grams per milliliter. And you want to know, okay, what is the concentration of that solution that has a density of 1.05? So you come over here on the y-axis and you find where 1.05 is. It's going to be right in the middle between 1 and 1.1. You take that and come straight over until you hit the trend line, and then you drop that down to your x-axis, and that will tell you what the concentration is at that density of 1.05. You guys will be able to do it more easily because you have the graph paper right in front of you. It's a little hard if you don't have the graph paper. So I'm going to estimate, again, that concentration somewhere between 20 and 30. You get to guess at the last decimal for this particular one. It's not very precise because I don't have a lot of marks and indications in between. So I'm going to say that maybe this is about 22%. Now, you can also go the other way. Let's say that you have a solution in front of you and you know that its concentration is 37%. You can use the graph to say, well, what is the density? You just go in the opposite direction. So along here on our x-axis, you find where 37 is. Again, I'm doing the best I can. I don't have marks on my iPad here. So I find 37, and I'm going to take that 37%, and I'm going to go straight up until I hit the trend line. And then I'm going to come straight over until I hit my y-axis. Oh, that is going so downhill. Again, you guys will be able to do this more easily given the fact that you have graph paper. doing the best I can here. I think that's downhill still, but you get the general idea. You're going to bring it over straight until it hits that y-axis, and then you read the density from it. I'm between 1.1 and 1.15. That mark there is at 1.15. So I'm going to say that at least how I have it drawn right now is probably maybe about like 1.14 grams per milliliter, something along those lines. Oh, no, geez, and now I just erased it. There we go. Something along there. All right, so that's how you do the graphs. You'll be making one and using it, and then there's another one asking questions about it in the post lab. I hope that helps.